Hey, hey, happy Thrive Thursday, Success and Fulfillment Circle family. I am so excited to be coming to you today and to be sharing some more information with you. And today, as you'll see from the title, is revolved around overcoming objections. So this can mean a lot of things, and in all different industries, objections can be different. However, in general, there are really three main pillars to what objections can look like in our business and in all areas of our life, really, as a whole. So I'm going to go over those with you, and what you'll be able to do as you go through them. I would say think about the objections that you face with your clients or customers that you're dealing with, and how you might be able to get ahead of that before those objections are even brought up. So if you can anticipate not only a question, but really a blockage that your clients, customers, anyone is going to have to your product, to your service, whatever that looks like, if you can identify that ahead of time and be able to really be the one to offer help to that person to help them overcome that objection, you're going to be, really excelling 1,000 times over in what you're doing and being able to really share your product and service in a whole different way. So again, let me just go ahead and I'll run through those three types of objections. So the first one being the vehicle objection. So by vehicle, I mean that this is the right product or service that is going to get me from A to B. So many times, depending again on what your service is that you're talking to someone about specifically, a lot of times, these aren't the first objections that come up, but, I think where this really comes from is being able to explain why your particular service or product is the one that is going to fulfill their needs and is the one that is going to make everything easier for them. Is this the right service that is going to be able to get the desired outcome that they have, whatever that looks like? So when we're looking at real estate, for example, and you have a vendor that's looking to sell their property, is your service going to get me my sales proceeds in the time frame that I need? And is that going to provide me with the level of service that I need? And am I going to have my property fully exposed as much as I need? And are you able to provide resources that show that you are the right vehicle to get me from A to B, right? So those are kind of what the vehicle objections can be. Is this the right service that is going to be able to get me that desired outcome, right? So the first one is vehicle, but then you also have what can be kind of, I would say, the most common, which people may not realize a lot of the time, is the internal objections. So the second pillar being internal objections really means someone has maybe a limiting belief around what that should look like. Again, going back to properties and house sales, this should be something that I can do on my own. Why can't I sell the property on my own in this type of market? This isn't right for me, or I'm not ready. It can be, am I ever going to find a property that makes me feel as fulfilled as I did with this house? But it's these kind of, like I say, internal objections around if your product or service or this next step really is the right thing they're supposed to be doing. So really outlining, it's not that you're trying to persuade anyone that yes, this is what you're supposed to be doing in your life, but if you do know that really the end goal is that this person wants to, for example, we've got people that are downsizing in the market that really, they'll be living a more fulfilled, peaceful life if they aren't having to take care of this huge standalone home and maintaining that. Whereas if they were to possibly sell that and live in either a condo or a smaller property or something that is maybe leasehold, standalone option, and is maybe the best of both worlds for them, it's really looking at seeing why they have that objection in the first place, but realizing what that actually looks like, that is, like I say, an internal objection that they're having for whatever reason. It is not your job to completely sway and change that, but if you can be aware that that is a level of one of these huge pillars of objections that all customers and clients go through, then you're going to be prepared for that conversation and almost see it coming in a different way than if you hadn't prepared for it at all, and then you just let them say, you know what, I just don't think this is the right time for me. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, where is my dog going to run around my house or whatever, and then they kind of like go off into a whole different area where you realize that objection could have been avoided if you were able to kind of navigate it and educate them maybe in a different way on that product or service and how that can help them. So that we've got vehicle objection, and then that internal objection. And then the last one is external objections. So I would say this is probably the most common, and maybe from where I see it, what a lot of people lean on as far as like external being things that we say we can't control, right? There's not enough time, not enough money, it's because of the economy, and these kind of like things revolving around that. Those are external objections where they would say, I don't think I can utilize your service because it costs too much. I don't have the money for that. And I think if you can be aware that that is a huge objection that someone might be having, then you can navigate and really show the value of what you're offering and be prepared for that conversation and that level of objection that someone might have before, it kind of like blindsides you, and then you almost maybe feel irritated and say, well, how dare they not know the value that I bring to this? Like, I'm charging them X amount, but I'm giving them 10 times that amount in value. Well, you can't really expect them to know that already. You just have to be prepared for that objection and be able to share with them really what that added value is, and more so also sharing a lot of times what that cost of inaction. So a lot of times you'll hear me talk about the difference between ROI and COI. We talk a lot about your return on investment and stuff, but what is your COI? What is your cost of inaction and not acting on this service or product? Realistically, if you're saying you don't have enough time or money for something, okay, well, what's the cost of you waiting any longer? Do you need that money? Like we say, going back to selling the property, okay, well, I don't have money to pay you this percentage on the commission. Well, let's flip the script on that and show what the value is of the service that you're offering and how that can possibly give someone a different level of financial freedom once you've helped them sell that property and downsize into something that might be more within their means at this current stage of their life, so that they can actually live a day-to-day life that is more in line with what they'll be enjoying and feeling more fulfilled in. So I think when you can have already kind of had those conversations in your head around what those levels of objections look like, you'll not only be like ready for that conversation, but you'll be, almost excited for when that person presents whatever that objection is that they're going through, and you'll be able to share and just say, actually X, Y, and Z, this is how this can help you. This is how, I can help you navigate that. And then you will know if this really is, the product or service that they need. But when you know in your heart that that is what's going to help them the best, I think it's almost doing them a disservice to not have ahead of time been able to help them navigate, help educate them on, really how this is the best option for them, right? And like I say, these levels of objections, It's a natural thing that we all go through. Like I say, you know, you've got vehicle, internal, and external. And if you really look at it in so many areas of our life, we have these objections in so many different areas. So if you can pull that into your specific industry and product and service, then, you know, like I say, you're completely prepared for that conversation, you know, in a different way. And that's where you really, you know, transform that, like this, you know, just a transformation conversation into like being able to actually create a transaction with that person and genuinely helping them with your service. And sometimes it also helps to be able to, you know, repeat back what somebody is saying to you. So if they are continuing to give you that same objection, well, no, I'm telling you, I still don't have the money, I still don't have the time, you know, you just continue to, you know, let them know that there's no pressure, you know, you're not trying to pressure someone, but more so open their eyes to the outcome of how you can assist. And sometimes just repeating back what someone has said to you, where you say, oh, well, you know, you say that you don't have, you know, the time to be able to commit to this, that we can't get into your home at X amount of times for us to be able to show it, or whatever that looks like. You know, however, or not even then providing something, is just saying, you know, repeating that back and then saying, am I correct that is your view on that, and that's the issue that you have with us being able to move forward right now. And I think repeating back what someone says and asking them to clarify that that's what they meant, a lot of times people will hear that said back to them and realize, well, that might not be completely, it's not completely maybe that I don't have the money to pay you, you know, you're not really taking food off my table for me to be able to pay you that commission. You know, I think that's where, because like you say, you're putting it at a no pressure area. So we're, like I say, if you're saying I want to be able to assist you, and if my commission for this level of service and value that I'm offering is too much, you know, I don't want to be putting you in a position where I'm taking food off the table or anything like that. I'm just trying to show how I can best assist with these next steps that you need. And many times people will come back and say, well, actually that's not quite what I meant, or, you know, it's not quite that, I don't have this or that. You know, sometimes people will be able to have that conversation and work it out for themselves a little bit more. If you just kind of repeat that objection back to them and ask for clarity and just ask that you're understanding it right. And many times people will come back to that as well. So, you know, and just don't hold back your knowledge and don't hold back your value of what you are offering to them. Give your 100%, the information that you have, and don't try to hold all your cards close. I think when you can show how much value and what you are able to offer, people know that just in your initial, you know, essentially your offer conversation that you're having, if you can show, you know, your level of knowledge and commitment and added value just in that conversation, people will then know that that is how you run your business, and that is how you communicate with them, and that is how your level of service will go all the way throughout the process when they sign on for your services. So, you know, once you then have done all of that, you then are able to really overcome those objections and exceed their expectations, having already been through this, you know, honest and open conversation with them, really recognizing what those objections are before you're able to fulfill and exceed you know, the expectations that they have in that level of service for your product. So, you know, I hope that helps a bit. Like I say, you know, it can be, sometimes we, you know, have these different conversations that might throw us for a loop when you have, you know, you think that people should understand what your service or product is, and, you know, why do I need to explain it? I know that I'm the best at what I do, but really, like I've said in previous videos, a lot of it is just about us educating people on what we are offering and how you are different. And like I say, you know, another amazing way to do that is just by, you know, having to overcome those objections. But the first step on overcoming objections is really just honing in on what those ones are. And I think if you go through this on what you've been through in past conversations with your past clients and customers, you'll realize that many of those objections are pretty similar across the line. And if you almost have like I say, a script conversation almost. I mean, every conversation is individual, but when you kind of know the flow of how you get through and past those blockages with people, it helps that conversation flow a little better, and helps you be able to kind of help them get past that a little bit quicker, so that you guys can then really move on to the next conversation, and like really the meat of what your conversation should be around what the next steps are on how you're able to help and get them to those next steps. So like I said, I hope that that's helpful for you guys, and I would love to hear if you have any examples of, you know, other things that I haven't mentioned that are, you know, objections that you have dealt with, or pointers that you have that have really helped you in those kinds of conversations, or ones that you may have dealt with that you may have seen as a failure that you've learned from, and vice versa. So, you know, I really hope that this is something that is helpful for you guys, and that this really helps to navigate those next conversations, just so that everyone can continue to see what amazing service products that you guys have to offer, and not letting, you know, any of these kind of like limiting beliefs or external or internal or vehicle objections get in the way of you being able to really help them get to that next level that they're trying to get to. All right, so I'll talk to you guys later in our one-on-ones. Again, hope this is helpful, and look forward to your feedback on it, okay? Make sure to like and comment and let me know your feedback. Thanks so much.